You look like a beggar, Maya. Honestly, I don't know if I should introduce you as the bride or ask you to refill the champagne glasses. Those were the words my future mother-in-law, Eleanor, said to me just 24 hours before my wedding. She said it loud enough for the entire bridal party to hear. I stood in the center of the Grand Chateau, the most exclusive wedding venue in the city. Crystal chandeliers glittered above us. The guests were wearing designer silk and Italian wool, and I was wearing a floral dress I bought from a thrift store bin for $12. I looked at my fiancé, Liam. I waited for him to step in. I waited for him to say, "Mom, stop it. She looks beautiful." But Liam didn't defend me. He looked at my dress, then at his mother's disapproving face, and he sighed. "Mom is right, Maya," he whispered, swirling his scotch. "You could have tried harder. This is a rehearsal dinner for the elite business club. You're embarrassing me." Embarrassing him. I looked down at the loose thread on my $12 dress. I didn't tell him why I was wearing it. I didn't tell him that the reason I couldn't afford a new dress was that I had secretly wired $50,000 of my own savings to his business account 3 days ago so his company wouldn't default on payroll. He thought I was cheap. He didn't know I was a silent savior. "I think we need to rethink this, Liam," Eleanor said, stepping between us. "She doesn't fit the image. A CEO's wife needs to look like royalty, not the help." Liam nodded slowly. He took the engagement ring, a ring I knew he bought on credit, and looked at me. "The wedding is off, Maya," he said coldly. "I need someone who matches my ambition. You're just too small for this life." He walked away. They all did, leaving me standing alone in the middle of the ballroom. They thought they were leaving a broken, poor woman to cry in the dark. But they didn't know one crucial detail. I didn't just pay for the venue rental. I own the venue. Before I tell you how I evicted my ex-fiancé from his own wedding day, drop a comment below. Have you ever sacrificed everything for someone who treated you like nothing? I want to know I'm not alone. The waiters started clearing the tables. They moved around me silently, keeping their heads down. They knew who I was. They were terrified to make eye contact because they knew the storm that was coming. I walked over to a mirror in the hallway and looked at myself. The dress was polyester. It was itchy. It was slightly faded at the hem. Eleanor was right. Compared to her $5,000 Chanel suit, I looked like a pauper. But this dress was a badge of honor. For 2 years, I had played the role of the supportive, simple girlfriend. When I met Liam, he was drowning in debt. His family's old money reputation was a lie. They were cash poor and leverage heavy. I, on the other hand, made my fortune in distressed assets. I buy failing businesses, hotels, venues, warehouses, fix them up, and sell them for triple the price. I am worth millions. But I never told Liam. I wanted to be sure he loved me, not my portfolio. So, when his business hit a rough patch last month, I pretended to scrape together my savings to help him. I ate instant noodles. I stopped buying clothes. I wore this $12 dress so I could send him the money to keep his ego afloat. And this is how he repaid me. By leaving me at the altar because I didn't look the part. "Excuse me, miss." I turned around. It was Pierre, the general manager of the Grand Chateau. He looked furious on my behalf, but he held his composure. "Miss Maya," Pierre whispered, checking to make sure Liam wasn't looking. "Your fiancé, ex-fiancé, just requested the master suite key. He says he wants to host a celebration tonight with his groomsmen. He told me to kick you out." I laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "He wants to celebrate dumping me in my own hotel." "He doesn't know it's yours, ma'am," Pierre reminded me. "The deed is under Emmy Holdings. He thinks you're just a guest." 3:30 to 5 o'clock, the turn. I looked through the glass doors of the ballroom. Liam was laughing with his best man, high-fiving him. Eleanor was on her phone, probably already calling her high society friends to tell them she had saved her son from the pauper. They looked so happy. They looked relieved. They thought the problem was solved. They thought they had trimmed the fat. "Pierre," I said softly. "Yes, ma'am." "Let them stay," I said. Pierre looked confused. "Ma'am, they just humiliated you. You want me to give them the master suite?" "Give them everything," I said, my voice hardening. "Give them the champagne. Give them the caviar. Let them think they have won." I reached into my purse and pulled out a phone. Not the cracked screen Android I used around Liam, but my secure business satellite phone. Because if I kick them out now, it's just a breakup, I explained, watching Liam take a sip of the wine I paid for. And I don't want a breakup, Pierre. I want a foreclosure. I turned to walk toward the employees-only door that led to the secret owner's office hidden behind the kitchen. Prepare the bill, Pierre, I commanded. And print out Clause 14B of the venue contract. The morality protocol. The wedding isn't happening tomorrow, I said, opening the door. But the eviction, that starts at sunrise. I walked into my private office, a room hidden behind the venue's kitchen that Liam didn't even know existed. I sat down in my leather executive chair. The silence here was different. It wasn't the lonely silence of the ballroom. It was the powerful silence of control. I opened my laptop. The screen glowed, illuminating the face of the woman Liam thought was too poor to marry. You might be wondering, Maya, if you're a millionaire, why did you let them treat you like trash for 2 years? Why did you wear that $12 dress? It's simple. I was testing him. You see, Liam's family is old money. Or at least, they used to be. They have the mansion, the country club membership, and the arrogance. But they don't have cash. I, on the other hand, have new money. I made my fortune in distressed commercial real estate. I buy failing businesses that are drowning in debt. I fix them, and I sell them. When I met Liam, his tech startup was 1 month away from bankruptcy. He didn't know I was a shark. He thought I was just a quiet girl from the library. I fell in love with him. I wanted to help him, but I knew that if I just handed him a check, he would feel emasculated. His ego was too fragile. So, I became the silent investor. I set up a shell company. I funneled money into his business, anonymously. That $50,000 transfer last week, that wasn't an angel investor from Dubai. That was me, selling my grandmother's jewelry and dipping into my emergency fund to save his payroll. I wore thrift store clothes so he could wear Armani. I ate leftovers so he could dine at steakhouses. I made myself small so he could feel big. And that was my mistake. Because when you make yourself small for a narcissist, they don't appreciate the space you give them. They just expand until they crush you. It's the story of the boiling frog. If you drop a frog in boiling water, it jumps out. But if you put it in cool water and turn the heat up slowly, it cooks to death before it realizes it's dying. That was my relationship with Eleanor and Liam. The heat went up 1 degree at a time. It started with small comments. Oh, Maya, you don't need to speak in this meeting. The men are talking. Then it was the labor. Eleanor fired her housekeeper and suggested I help out around the estate to learn how to run a household. I spent my weekends scrubbing their floors while they played tennis. And finally, it was the erasure. They stopped introducing me as the fiancé. I became Liam's friend. I became the background noise. I looked at the security monitor on my desk. I could see them in the master suite upstairs, the suite I owned. Eleanor was toasting with champagne. Liam was laughing. They weren't mourning the relationship. They were celebrating the removal of a liability. I looked at the $12 dress in the reflection of the monitor. You look like a maid, she had said. I slowly unzipped the cheap polyester dress and let it fall to the floor. Pierre, I said into the intercom. Yes, ma'am. Bring the car around to the back entrance. And go to my apartment. In the back of my closet, there is a garment bag. Bring it to me. The white one, ma'am. No, I said, my voice cold. The red suit. The one I wear when I close a deal. The next morning, the sun rose over the grand chateau. It was a perfect day for a wedding. Except there was no bride. I watched from the tinted window of my car as the guests arrived. Liam and Eleanor had spun a story. I could hear them as I stepped out of the car 100 yards away. Oh, it's so tragic, Eleanor was telling a senator's wife. Maya just got cold feet. She realized she couldn't handle the pressure of our lifestyle. Poor girl. We wish her the best. Liam was nodding solemnly. Ideally, we wanted someone with a bit more pedigree. But we'll enjoy the party anyway. They were turning my heartbreak into a networking event. I checked my watch. 11 a.m. The ceremony was supposed to start now. I walked toward the main entrance. I wasn't wearing white. I was wearing a blood-red tailored power suit that cost more than Eleanor's car. My hair was slicked back. My makeup was sharp. I didn't look like a runaway bride. I looked like an executioner. The guests turned as I walked up the stone path. The whispers stopped. Liam saw me first. His smile dropped. He looked confused. He probably expected me to show up crying, begging for a second chance. He didn't expect this. Maya, he called out, stepping forward. What are you doing here? I told you it's over. Don't make a scene. Eleanor rushed over, her face twisting into a snarl. You have some nerve showing your face, she hissed. Security. Pierre, get this trash off my property. I didn't stop walking. I walked right past them, up the stairs of the venue, and stood at the top of the landing, looking down at them. Pierre, my general manager, stepped out from the shadows. He wasn't looking at Liam. He was looking at me, waiting for orders. Security isn't coming, Eleanor, I said, my voice projecting over the silent crowd. Why? She shrieked. I am the mother of the groom. I paid for this. Well, my son paid for this. Actually, I said, reaching into my red blazer and pulling out a microphone. He didn't pay for anything. I signaled to the AV booth. Hit it! A massive projector screen descended behind me, blocking the view of the altar. Welcome to my venue, I said. The massive screen flickered to life behind me. It wasn't a slideshow of our relationship. It wasn't a montage of happy memories. It was a commercial property deed. What is this? Eleanor scoffed, trying to maintain her composure. We don't have time for a PowerPoint presentation, Maya. Leave. Read the line under proprietor, I said into the microphone. My voice echoed through the hills. Liam squinted at the screen. I saw the blood drain from his face. Emmy Holdings LLC, Liam read aloud. That's the company that bought this venue last year. And who owns Emmy Holdings, Liam? I asked. I clicked the remote. The next slide showed the incorporation papers. Sole beneficiary, Maya Elizabeth Sterling. The silence that fell over the crowd was heavy. It was the kind of silence that happens when a predator walks into a room. I own the venue, Eleanor, I said, looking down at her from the stairs. Every brick, every glass of champagne you're drinking, the ground you're standing on, it's mine. That's a lie. Eleanor shrieked. You shop at Goodwill. You wear $12 dresses. You can't afford a venue like this. I wear $12 dresses, I corrected her, because I spend my money buying assets, not buying approval. I turned to Pierre, my general manager, who was standing stoically by the entrance. Pierre, I asked, who signs your paycheck? Pierre didn't hesitate. You do, Miss Sterling. And do we allow trespassing on private property? No, ma'am, Pierre said, signaling the 6 security guards who had quietly positioned themselves around the perimeter. Liam looked around, panic setting in. He laughed nervously, turning to the guests. Okay. Wow. Maya, you really got us. A surprise reveal. You're rich. That's amazing, babe. He started walking up the stairs toward me, his arms open. Why didn't you tell me? We could have. This changes everything. We're a power couple now. I held up a hand. He stopped. It changes nothing, Liam, I said, because the wedding is still off. Liam's smile faltered. But, you own the place. We can get married right now. It's free. Actually, I said, it's going to cost you everything. I pulled a document from my red blazer pocket. You signed a contract to rent this venue, Liam. Do you remember? Yeah, whatever, he waved his hand. My mom signed it. And did she read Clause 14b? I asked. Eleanor froze. Clause what? Clause 14b, I recited. The Morality and Harassment Protocol. It states that if the client or their guests verbally abuse, harass, or humiliate the venue ownership or staff, the contract is immediately voided, and the event is cancelled without a refund. I stepped down one step, looming over them. Yesterday, you called me a beggar. You called me a maid. You humiliated the owner of this establishment in front of her staff. I ripped the contract in half. The sound of tearing paper was amplified by the microphone. You violated Clause 14b. The wedding is cancelled. You have 10 minutes to vacate my property before I have you arrested for trespassing. You can't do that, Eleanor screamed. We have 200 guests. The food is served. We paid a deposit. The deposit is non-refundable, I smiled. Consider it a donation to the dress fund you were so worried about. The guests started murmuring. Some were laughing. The senator's wife was already walking to her car. Liam looked desperate. He realized he was losing the venue, the girl, and the status. But then his eyes narrowed. He thought he had one card left to play. Fine, Liam shouted, his face twisting into ugly rage. Keep your stupid hotel. I don't need you. I have my company. I just closed a $50,000 investment deal last week. My tech firm is going to be worth millions. He puffed out his chest. I have my own money, Maya. I don't need your charity. I looked at him with genuine pity. Oh, Liam, I whispered into the mic, you really don't look at the paperwork, do you? What are you talking about? He snapped. I clicked the remote one last time. The screen changed. It wasn't a deed this time. It was a promissory note. That $50,000 investment you got last week? I asked. The angel investor who saved your payroll. Yeah. Blue Horizon Ventures, Liam said. They believe in my vision. Blue Horizon Ventures is a shell company, I said. Owned by Emmy Holdings. Liam stopped breathing. I am the investor, Liam. I sold my grandmother's jewelry and emptied my savings to loan you that money because I loved you. I wanted to save your dream. I pointed at the screen. But you didn't treat it like a loan. You treated it like a piggy bank. You used my money I saved by wearing $12 dresses, to pay for the suit, to pay for the champagne tower. I walked down the rest of the stairs until I was face to face with him. You are wearing my money, Liam. The loan agreement has a character clause, I continued, referencing the legal document on the screen. If the borrower engages in reputational damage to the lender, the loan can be recalled immediately in full. I held out my hand. I'm recalling the loan, Liam. $50,000. Plus interest. Payable today. Liam looked like he was going to vomit. I don't have it. I spent it on the wedding. Then I guess I'll have to take collateral, I said coldly. I turned to Pierre. Pierre, call the towing company. Liam put his Porsche up as collateral for the business loan. Since he is in default, tow it. No! Liam screamed as security guards grabbed his arms. That's my car. You can't take my car. It's not your car, I said, turning my back on him. It's a company asset, and I own the company. The scene that followed was chaotic. Eleanor was crying on a bench, calling her lawyer who wasn't picking up. Liam was being dragged toward the gate, watching a tow truck hook up his beloved Porsche. The guests? They didn't stay to comfort them. They realized that the old money family was a fraud. They realized the real power was the woman in the red suit. I stood on the balcony of my venue, watching the last of the cars drive away. Pierre walked up and handed me a glass of vintage champagne. A toast, Miss Sterling, he asked. To what? I asked, looking at the empty driveway. To taking out the trash. Pierre smiled. I took a sip. It tasted like victory. I didn't get married that day. I didn't get the fairy tale ending I thought I wanted. But I got something better. I got my self-respect back. I learned that you can't build a life with someone who measures your worth by the price tag on your clothes. If you are making yourself small to fit into someone else's world, stop. Because the person who truly loves you will never ask you to shrink. And the person who judges you for your $12 dress might just be standing in the building you own. Don't get mad. Get ownership. Thanks for watching.